Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my corner of the multiverse. This is the Salty Goddess Podcast. I'm Margaret Perry. Hope you're all having a wonderful week. I'm so happy you decided to join me for your guilty pleasure, your hump day excitement, if you will. Today, we are going to talk about some things that have been brought up recently as I've been speaking to a few of my friends, patients, colleagues, all the peeps. So, I don't like to sugarcoat a damn thing. Not at all. That's not the way that I handle my business. I tend to give you things that have more likely been cured in salt than coated in sugar. So, this week is going to be a little bit salty and a little bit interesting. We're going to talk about performative relationships. Relationships where you hoped there would be more, but there's not. And even when you ask for it, you don't get it, even though you should. This can be any type of relationship. It could be a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a significant other, a child, a friend, a longtime friend. We've got people that can fit that description, I think, in all of our lives. So recently, a number of individuals have come to me to talk some things out and discuss how to handle the performative relationship. So we're going to talk about it and see if I can't help y'all engender a little bit of self-confidence and self-esteem to know that when someone says to you, you're too much, you're too loud, you're extra, that's a them problem and not a you problem. Because there is a difference between authenticity and ego. When people are authentically themselves, they gain their self-confidence, their self-esteem intrinsically from themselves. It's literally a self-feeding system. Requires almost no extrinsic input. Okay. When ego is what runs your life, that is all based on extrinsic input. And that's more difficult to maintain than someone who is fed intrinsically. So we'll get there toward the end of our talk today, and I'll give you some steps, some skills, some actionable items for you to continue to build your intrinsic system, for you to build yourself into being an authentic person. Now, understand, a lot of my colleagues are female. A lot of my patients are female. But this goes for men as well. Because truthfully, authentic versus ego hits both genders, both sexes, all genders, I should say, all sexes, everybody's involved. All right. So let's dig in a little bit. You may or may not like this, but you're going to get some actionable items out of it. So what are we actually talking about? If you've ever been made to feel guilty for needing support, rest, partnership, or buy-in from anybody, whether it be a coworker, a child, a parent, a spouse, you name it, friend, sibling, doesn't matter. But when you ask for it, when you ask for that buy-in, that individual turns it on you and makes you feel guilty for requesting it, as if what they do isn't enough. You might be dealing with a performative relationship. Okay, so let's first define it and figure out how we're going to handle it. The performative relationship is when the other person only shows up when there's an audience or they have nothing else to do with their time. Though they look helpful at parties, in front of your family and friends, or even on social media, hashtag ride or die. Okay. But they're invisible when it comes to the real work, to the real relationship. They can't seem to meet your level of engagement, your level of commitment, your level of worth. All right. That potentially is that performative relationship. And if you call them out and say, listen, I wish things could be different. I wish things could be more. And they may say, oh, well, I'll work on that. I can see what you're saying. I'm going to work on that. And then the work never comes. So their actions are incongruous with their words. Ladies and gentlemen, that's perfidious. It's deceitful. It's a lie. They never get around to doing that work. They never get around to improving themselves enough for it to be less than performative. So what do? Well, it's a number of things that you can work on. We're going to talk about that. Okay. They'll post things on social media, but they weaponize their selective effort. And that is simply for optics. Anytime anyone weaponizes something against you, that should signal to you that there's a problem. All right. It gets spicy when you find the strength to ask for that assistance, to say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I know that in the past I've carried this and I've done this and I've handled all of this, but I could use some assistance. And instead of hearing someone say, I'm here, tell me what you need, let me see what I can do to help, you're instead met with silence or defensiveness, or worse, they make you feel guilty. Suddenly you're the problem. They may say or make comments like, why are you always so negative? I can never do anything right. When it is involved with an interpersonal relationship, an intimate relationship, they may say, well, I don't cheat on you. I don't beat you. I don't steal from you. Oh, gee, thanks. That's fucking great. Wonderful. Wonderful. That, my friends, is performative. I'm glad that you don't beat on me. I'm just saying, I would still be asking you for assistance. I would still feel overwhelmed, and I might just have two black eyes and be hauled off to prison. And I'm not built for prison, so that's not happening. All right? You're demanding, or you're being told you're condescending, things of that nature. No, you're not the problem. You're not demanding. You're just requesting assistance. And you're no longer volunteering to play the martyr and do everything yourself. Or you've just asked them to carry their emotional load in the relationship. You stop behaving as if everything's perfectly fine. And that disrupts the script that they're comfortable with. All right? They'll say things like, you're so extra. You never slow down. You're always trying to do something more. When is enough enough? When will you finally be satisfied? When will you be happy with what you have? Those are deflecting conversations. It's not that you're unhappy with what you have. It's not that you're looking for more, other than more authenticity, other than more knowledge. You still enjoy the things that you've always enjoyed. You just want to understand your environment better. So keep that in mind. Don't diminish yourselves. Don't stop seeking your goals. Don't stop setting goals. Don't stop planning because somebody else doesn't want to put in that work with you. You just disengage from it. It's not you. And the same is true for your business partners, your coworkers, colleagues, friends, neighbors, doesn't matter. We all have different relationships with different, people, but they can all be part of that performative relationship. So you want to be careful that this isn't something that's happening in every aspect of your life. So let's talk a little bit more specific, because I can just see it now. You're all out there nodding your head, drinking your coffee, your water. Yep, this is it. This is it. Yep, you're right. I'm going to specifically talk about how you need to handle these situations and what you need to do to continue with your intrinsic feed. All right. Let's just say that it's your spouse, and you ask your spouse, "Help me get the kids ready." And they fumble, they do it poorly. "I can't find this, I can't find that." And they weaponize their own incompetence and make you take over. Because what should have taken 6 minutes has now taken 22. You're about to be late for whatever event you're about to go off to. This is not uncommon. I can tell you that I hear partners say it all the time, man or woman, just so you're aware, man or woman. Or maybe you've taken a day for yourself and somehow they find a way to start an argument about it. Or that they couldn't find something or do something because you weren't there. All right. They make you feel guilty before you go. They make you feel guilty while you're gone. And then they make you feel guilty when you come back. Okay. Your rest, your day away, your day to go do whatever it is, a massage, to go to the salon, get a pedicure, whatever it is, go fishing, go to a baseball game, whatever it is that is your time off, and an argument starts, and I'll tell you, the argument can start the day before, 3 days before, an hour before. Doesn't matter. They ruin your time away because the whole time that you're away, all you're doing is thinking about how pissed off they're going to be or angry when you return because you were gone for a while. And just so you guys know this, I'm not just talking about relationships with children. Okay. I'm also talking about friendships, coworkers, all kinds of things. A colleague of mine recently was asked to speak at a conference. They were going to be gone from work for 3 days. And a coworker pulled this crap on them the week before they were supposed to go to this conference about how horrible the week is going to be while they're gone, all the extra things they're going to have to do. Trust me when I tell you, these types of relationships do occur everywhere. I'm not just specifically talking about interpersonal cohabitation, marriage relationships. They're everywhere. I've got a group of friends. One of them said, I've had a friend for honestly, since we were in elementary school. And anytime that something successful happens for me, anytime I'm recognized for something that I've done, any achievement that I've wanted to celebrate, And somehow this particular friend finds a way to add, to kind of dull that shine of that achievement. Who does that? How do you not celebrate when your friends have something to celebrate? How do you not get excited when a colleague gets asked to speak at a conference or speak on something that they have some expertise in, or they're a subject matter expert? I celebrate that shit for my friends. I celebrate that for my children, my grandchildren. This, I get to see one of my grandkids before he goes off to school, and I celebrate the day with him at 6:30 in the morning. Pretty sure his parents wish I'd be a little more quiet in the morning, but have a wonderful day at school today. I hope it's filled with opportunity. I can't wait to hear all about it when you come back home or when you come see me when you get off the bus. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's not that hard to be supportive. Put your ego aside. If you're living your best life, you shouldn't be envious of anybody else's successes or achievements. That's ridiculous. I can absolutely celebrate anyone's achievements, anyone, because their achievements don't diminish my achievements. That's not how you should feel. Not ever. That's what we have a problem with. We've got to handle that stuff. Individuals that only praise you publicly online at certain times of the year, but behind closed doors, one-on-one, they're disengaged, they're unavailable, or they don't participate. They can't remember details about the important events that you've discussed with them because they don't want to deal with it. So what do you do when you see those red flags? What do you do when those red flags literally look like stage curtains? Here comes the next act. Here it is. Some more performative crap. Name the pattern. Step 1, name the pattern, okay? Call it out. I feel like you show up only when other people are watching. But from day to day, you're not engaged in this relationship. There's nothing wrong with defining what is needed from a friend, a sibling, a parent, a lover, a spouse. I need help. That doesn't have to be earned through emotional exhaustion, collapse, or cries of desperation. How can you not look at me after knowing me? And this is what I said to the individual that was telling me about their friend from elementary school. Your friend from elementary school, and how old? This patient was, in their 50s. So you've known them literally 50 years, and they don't know you well enough to be able to tell when you're drowning without you opening your mouth to say you're drowning? Should you have to ask every time that something is needed? How are you not able to tell that for your friend? Don't manage their perception. Don't manage it. They only act right when they can be seen. Then you know that friendship, that love, it's about image. It's not about intimacy. It's about image. They only care what other people see. They don't care what they're really living. All right? And then you have to decide what's non-negotiable for you. Are you going to continue not celebrating yourself? Not being happy? Just because someone else's fragile ego can't handle your successes, your accomplishments, your growth? And never, ever, ever doubt your self-worth. Never doubt your self-worth. You're not a background character in their story, and you're not a background character in your own story. You are the entire plot line in your story. Period. And you shouldn't put up with anything else. So I'm talking to you. I know you're listening. You can feel that in your chest. You're wondering if you're overreacting, if you're selfish, or if you should just let it go. You're not crazy. You're not dramatic. You're not asking too much. But you are asking for enough. You've carried people through thick, thin, highs and lows. You've held emotional burdens like it was your birthright. And you need, want, desire, and have earned some of that poured back into yourself. Not to be left feeling like you're greedy or you're too much or you're too extra. Not anymore. No. You are allowed to ask and to need, and you are absolutely okay to expect reciprocity for the things that you provide to others. Reciprocity. It's a nice big word. You deserve it. And you shouldn't be made to suffer for that desire. Not at all. You don't make others suffer for that. So why should you be made to suffer? So, what are you going to do? You, to preserve your self-esteem and your self-confidence, will learn to say no. No is a complete sentence. You've heard me say that before. You don't want to waste time, time being your most valuable currency. You've also heard me say that before. Stop wasting it. You're not going to reclaim it. You're not going to get it back. Create yourself a victory folder. Moments, compliments, wins, times that you felt proud. Nothing wrong with revisiting those. Those give you the know. You know that other people see you. You know that you've hit certain goals, achieved certain milestones, and you should celebrate those. You absolutely should. Maybe take some time to write down all the things that you believe about yourself. All of the wonderful things that you believe about yourself as a reminder to yourself that you're kind. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. I don't know. I mean, if you're not kind, that's another episode. All right. You're straightforward. Maybe you're straightforward. Maybe nobody ever has to guess where they stand when they're with you. And sometimes for some individuals, that's great. Recently, there was an excerpt from this guy that was doing a talk, and somebody asked him for advice for parents with toddlers. And this gentleman's advice was, you want to love your children and you want to be friends with your children. But if you don't want your children to turn out to be little shits, you have to put your foot down, and sometimes you have to be mean because they have to be good citizens of society when they grow up. And I sent it to two of my children. And I said, don't I say this? And one child texted me back and goes, yeah, you do say that, but not nice like that. Okay, they're right. Sometimes I'm a bit saltier than I probably should be. I shoot straight from the hip. I don't, even in real life, even when I'm not on this podcast, even when I'm not doing a presentation, I'm straightforward. I don't beat around the bush. I don't sugarcoat. And I am sure that there are times that when I say things, individuals don't know how to quite take it. Maybe they think I'm being mean. And maybe sometimes I am. But when I was told, you don't always say things that nicely, I thought to myself, maybe I should start maybe reframing the way I say things. But then I realized it would probably come out clunky because that's not who I am authentically. So, sometimes being salty, I guess, or being straightforward, they wouldn't want me to change it either. And that's actually what this child told me. I don't know what I would do if you came at me and were suddenly sugarcoating things. I would think, did I just get like a terminal illness diagnosis I don't know about? Why is she changing that around? All right. So think about who you are, what makes you authentic, what allows you to be authentically you, and know that those are most likely phenomenal things. Phenomenal things. I have a couple of friends. One's a guy, and I know he and I can argue with one another. And at the end of a discussion that we might be on opposite ends of the spectrum about, I can be really mad and say, you made me really mad. But I also know that if I call him the next day and say, I need some information, I need some advice, what are your thoughts on this? He's still going to give it to me straight. That's authenticity. I know that individual, and I could almost predict his behavior about almost any situation. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with. Those are the people that reinforce your own beliefs in who you are because they accept you for who you are. Okay? Set a standard. Standards. Not a hope, not a dream, not a wish. A standard. Decide what your standards are and ask individuals to meet that standard. And if they can't meet that minimum standard, they get rejected on the conveyor belt of life. It's simple. Now, some relationships are easier to break free from than others. If it's a marriage, obviously there's divorce and division of assets. If it's family, it's harder because there's potentially siblings and cousins and parents and nieces, nephews, and grandchildren and everything involved. That's a little bit more difficult. But when someone does not meet the minimum standard, you do not need to engage with them, even if they're family. Okay? You can still go to get-togethers. You can still be all together for a Christmas celebration. Doesn't mean you have to engage with them. You're an adult. Grow the F up. Show up. Don't make demands that if you invite so-and-so, I'm not coming. That's bullshit. Don't do that to people. You don't have a right to demand that anyway in someone else's home. If you decide not to show up, don't show up. It's fine. But that's on you. And all that says is you're a child. Because why the hell can't you be in a room with somebody that you don't like? Aren't you an adult? So shame on the person making that request. Shame on a person that submits to that request. Shame, shame. Don't do that. Have your standard, but choose not to engage if they can't meet the minimum standard. Doesn't mean you can't be in the same room with them. I've had to work with people I don't like. Right? We can all do that. We're all adults. I have to, you might not even be a Bills fan. Go Bills. And if you're not, well, you just like a couple steps down on my list. I'm a Bills fan. Period. All right. And then one of the last actions for you to help build who you are is to do something simply for you. Whether it's a bath, a salty coloring book, taking lessons for something, reconnect with your own power, your own pleasure, and your own peace. Because intrinsically is how you want to feed your self-confidence. That's it. You don't need external validation. Nowhere. So this is what I want you to walk away with. You're not necessarily hard to love. You should not be living your life as if it's a performance. Because it's not. You're not going to win a Golden Globe. You're not going to win an Emmy. There's no reward for living your life. And if somebody thinks that you're too much, nay, my friends, I say, excuse me. The reality is you're not enough. And look them dead in the eyes when you say it. I am what I am. I know what I've earned. I know who I am. And I refuse to lower my standards to make you comfortable. Simple. Salty. But it's true. So, thanks for joining me again this week. Stay salty. Stay savage, because if you're not, I guess you're not being authentic. I'll see you again next week on Wednesday for your guilty pleasure. Please follow, share, comment, write me an email, and keep your eyes peeled for some new developments coming from the Salt Mine Studio, Salty Goddess Press, and Salty Goddess Media. We have a whole family of business verticals here. You'll find us on all your social media. Be sure to follow us everywhere you can. And if this episode is needed by someone you know, be sure to share it with them so that they can understand your standards. They need to be met. I appreciate y'all. You have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.